Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Hey, it's Nate with another piano tutorial. Today I'm doing the classic Lean On Me by Bill Withers. This one has a really iconic and elegant piano part that is pretty easy to play at its core. What you hear on the recording is a mix of that piano and a second electric piano, and they sort of merge into one part with a lot of cool details and nuance. So I'll sort of teach it in layers, and you can keep it as simple or as full on as is comfortable for you right now. Let's jump in. Okay, so first off, I recommend you get the chords and lyrics chart. There is a link down in the description that'll help you follow along and see where the chords and the words line up with each other. And the verses and the choruses both have the same main piano part, the core of which we can learn by looking at the intro. So we'll start there. Let's take it line by line. Here's the first line. You'll notice there's kind of a lot going on here. So we're in 4/4 time, and it's a fast 4/4 time. We're thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 for each of those measures. First chord out is a C, and we're just going to focus on the right hand for a minute. So this is an inversion on a C major chord. The thumb is on E, second finger on G, pinky on C, and that's middle C for reference. And a lot of this song is stepping around on this chord shape, and you can identify the name of the chord based on the top note. So this is a C chord when you're in this shape. C is up top. So that first measure is just C, 2, 3, 4. Now, as we enter the second measure, you're going to hit C again on beat 1, and then just step up for each of the 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's the exact same shape, like I said. For that D minor chord, you're going to have D up top. Then for the E minor, E is up top. And then for the F, F is up top. Notice in the third measure, I put the F in parentheses. That's because you're still holding the F, but you don't actually hit it on beat 1. So I wanted to make that clear somehow. So the first 3 measures would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Then for the final measure of the line, we just hit that F again on beat 1 and then step down 2, 3, 4, hitting that C on beat 4. Let's add some left hand bass notes. Now throughout this song, we're mostly going to be in this like C5 finger scale, 2 octaves below middle C, playing on a lot of the roots of the chords. But in the intro, it's really simple. It's the electric piano that does the bass, and it actually doesn't hit on the first C. The song starts with C, C, D minor, E minor, F. So the first bass note you're going to hit is just the F. With the second finger, and then you're not going to hit again until you get back down to the bottom. So you're kind of hitting when it hits the top and when it hits the bottom. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's that second bass note on the C. Let's put that next line up on the screen. So this line starts out with a measure of C in parentheses. So we just hit the C on beat 4 at the end of the previous line. So after 2, 3, 4, then starting this line 1, 2, 3, 4, you can just keep holding that C in the left hand. And in the second measure here, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to kind of continue that theme of only hitting bass notes when we hit the top of the pattern. So this E minor over G. So what comes after the slash is always just the left hand bass note. So it's the E minor chord with the G bass note. Again, from the second measure here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3. Now the dashes represent extra beats of the same thing. So this E minor over G in parentheses doesn't last the whole measure. On the 4th beat of this measure, we're going to step down the right hand shape. It's going to sound like that. This would be the simple way to play it. You just step the shape down, F, A, D, while doing that G bass note again. Now that's what the piano plays. The electric piano also adds in a B for that G9 chord. Really kind of colorful sounding. I'm going to add that in, but it's optional. And then finally, on the 3rd count of that last measure, you can just collapse the right hand down to an F chord, just F-A-C. I know that's getting a little complicated here. We'll go over it slowly. So again, from the beginning of that line, and our C is already ringing out from the end of the previous line. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So just the 3 and 4 is on F there. And that F is also only done by the electric piano. So if you want to keep this nice and simple, you can eliminate the B from the G9 chord, and you can just skip that F altogether. So far, first half of the intro, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. Let's move on. The third line here, this is starting the second half. You'll notice the third line looks a lot like the first line. The only difference really is on the way up, instead of this E minor chord, we're gonna play an E diminished where the B is flat. It's a nice little sound, and that's actually what it does for the rest of the song every single time. It's just the first line that we don't hear that B flat. So it sounds like this with, and you are gonna hit on the C at the beginning of this line. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I love that B flat. It just gives it this nice little edge. If you find that is a lot harder to play, it still sounds good without it. And the fourth line here keeps following a lot of the same logic. We start with a measure of C that's held over from the third line, and then we start stepping up. But this time, instead of doing the inverted E minor, we're gonna do a C. So this is an inversion on C. New inversion, our thumb is on G, third finger on C, pinky on E. So it's changing the main shape there, and then here's where our next bass note is on this G7. So we're gonna go back to the first shape, but we're going all the way down to put our thumb on D, top note is B there, with a G bass note, and that's gonna be our G7. Then it follows the same rhythm the second line did, where it holds for the 3 counts of the next measure, and then just land on C like that. So again, that line, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I know that was a lot of details and counting there, but the good news is you now know the core chord progression that's going to be used for 80% of the rest of the song. And the rhythm is just following the vocals, so if you know the song, you can lean on that. But speaking of complicated, I'm going to go through that one more time and add an additional layer of details that are provided by the electric piano part. The first are these little decorations that are in the first 2 measures where we have a chord in parentheses. So in the third measure on the F chord, I'm going to do this. So we've just gotten up to this F. We're gonna leap up here to this higher F, B flat, and D. We're gonna hit that and immediately collapse it down to an F major chord, F-A-C. And that's gonna be on 2, 3 of that measure. So in context, that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. So after you do the 2, 3, 4, we gotta just jump our hand right back down to the F we had left off at before stepping back down. Now, then we've also got the C. So once we hit the C at the end of that measure, when we get into the second line on 2, 3, 4, we're gonna do the very similar thing. Our thumb's on middle C here, and it's gonna be C, F, and A, collapsing down to a root position, C, E, G, C major chord. So again, from the beginning, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So those 2 alterations, they both happen right there at the beginning of the song, and they get used, well, particularly the first one gets used throughout kind of randomly. And then the second one on C, I think it only shows up again in the very last verse. But if you like playing them and you're grooving along to the song and you want to throw in more of them, you can totally do that. The rest of the details are little left-hand bass line moments. So at the end of the second line, when we go to that F chord, right after we've done that G9, That happens on beat 3 of that measure, and we're doing a G bass note already. And so when we hit that F on beat 3, we're gonna move to our third finger. It's gonna sound like this. And that would be landing in the next line. So G, A, C, high C before jumping down the octave. And the timing there, like I said, it's beat 3 and we use eighth notes, so dividing the beat in half, thinking 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and it's gonna be on 3 and 4, 1. So in context, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, 1. So that would be starting the third line. The third line, nothing new here, although this is where in the intro he starts humming along a little bit with the vocal melody. So we land in that third line. So the next moment happens on the G7 chord. So stepping up. Remember to change the shape there for that C chord. I think I might have already accidentally done that, but it really does switch there. So then we get to the G7 here on beat 4 of that measure, and then we hold it for 3 more counts in the next measure, but on beat 3, you can step up to an A bass note before landing back down on the C. You just gotta kind of fudge it and get your second finger on that G so your thumb can play the A. I just did the last detail, the last 2 possible eighth notes of this line. We're gonna do, you can keep your second finger up on that G where we had just moved it and just do a G, A, and that's 4 and 1. So that happens in these sort of transitional moments if we've just done a full intro or verse or chorus and we're about to go back to that chord progression again. So anytime you're not going to a bridge, you can just throw in that little. But I think that one's pretty optional. So with those details in mind, I'll now do a full, slow playthrough of the intro, and then we should be able to cruise through the rest of the song pretty quick. Sometimes in our lives. So we are in the first verse. Let's look at that. So here's the chords for the verses. And really it is the exact same thing, but there is a little bit more going on in the left hand with the bass notes. So for the first line, right off the bat, instead of just hitting the bottom notes, the C, and then when it gets up to the F, we're gonna hit every single bass note for each chord. So it's gonna be C, 2, 3, 4, C, D, E, F. It is the E diminished there, like I had mentioned before. It's that way every time going forward. So just C, D, E, F, and then F, E, D, C. Now it gets a little bit interesting here. For the next time we walk up, we have these slash notes. So C slash E or C over E, it means that the bass note is an E. And then for the D minor, it's an F. And then for the E minor, it's a G. So we're doing, it's just stepping up, but it's starting on E. And then we have this regular E minor. So after we've done E minor with the G, we're gonna go down to do the E there. We all have sorrow. So this is where we called it a G9 before because we were doing a G bass note, but now we're gonna do the same notes in the right hand, but do a D bass note. So we did E, D, and then you can add the, and if you're eliminating some of the electric piano stuff, you could just stay on the D. So again, we've got sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow. Okay, now same thing here with the walking up, but if we are wise. We can throw in a little. We know that there's. Okay, and then here, once again, for the next walk up, we're gonna start on E. So C over E, D over F. Here's the part where we change the shape in the right hand, and we're gonna go to G. And then we've got the G7 back to C. So again, for that second half, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Throwing in that little there. And that's going into the chorus, which is literally the same thing. It's just the vocals are different. So I'll play through that once slowly. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Cool. And then there's another verse, and then we are in the bridge. Okay, so here's the chords for the bridge. You'll notice it's a lot of C. 13 measures of C. And you can just play a C and hold it for each measure. This is, of course, the so just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. Now that'll work, but I'm gonna do the full bass line. It sounds like this. So it's just G, A, C, and the rhythm there is 4 and 1. So you do hit the C's on beat 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. So it happens every 2 measures. 2, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. My dog is barking at this bass line. And to help you with the rhythm as it relates to the vocals, on your lyrics chart, I bolded the words that you hit the C on. So just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean. That one's a little weird. It's like in the second half of lean, but I think you'll get it. Now on the recording, every other measure when you're not doing that, the bass does this high slidey C. Sounds really cool. So one way to do it would be, so just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody. But if you don't have a bass in your hand, a good way to do it would just be to play a middle C in the right hand. So just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. So that's just on beat 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't have that slidey vibe, so you can take it or leave it. I'll probably play it there. And then to get out of the bridge on the very last, we all need somebody. It's gonna sound like this. We all need somebody to lean on. So we have this little bass line here. I'm gonna do it in octaves for power, but you certainly don't have to. I added the bass line melody notes there in the parentheses. It's E, F, F sharp, and when you land on the G here, we just voice it the way we were doing in the verse. You can throw in a little bass note there on A, getting back to C. Timing there is going to be, we all need 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the E hits with D of somebody. Somebody to lean. So the F sharp hits with 2, and then lean on. Cool. After that, we've got another chorus, then another bridge, just like the one we just learned, then another verse, and then we've got the outro. The outro is really easy. We're going to come up here and do a bass C, so higher than the C we've been doing with our left-hand thumb, and then we're just going to go back and forth between a D minor over C, so D minor with a C bass note, and then just C, like that. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. That's the call me. And then there's all these little ad libs. Call me if you need a friend. If you're just one singer, it's hard to do the ad-libs on top of holding down the call me. So probably just slip one or two in there, and I'm not gonna go around 14 times. That's what it does in the recording. With just me and piano, I'm just gonna feel it out, probably do about half that. And then the song is over. Okay, thank you for sticking with me. I am now going to do a full cover so you can see how all these different parts fit together in the complete song. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and click the bell so you know when I put out more videos like this one. Also leave a request in the comments. Here's my version of Lean On Me. Sometimes in our lives, we all have pain, we all have sorrow, but if we are wise, we know that there's always tomorrow. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride. If I have things you need to borrow, for no one can fill those of your needs that you won't let show. So just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. You just call on me, brother, when you need a hand. We all need somebody to lean on. I just might have a problem that you'll understand. We all need somebody to lean on. If there is a load you have to bear that you can't carry, I'm right up the road. I'll share your load if you just call me. If you need a friend, call